Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my channel. This is Tanush. Today we'll discuss a little bit about the Sade Sati part for especially for Capricorn Moon sign, which they have been going through from past almost like 7.5 years, because it was a very tough phase for them. So we'll try to understand why it was so tough for them, why Saturn gave the kind of results or situations which Saturn gave to them. What were the learnings? Because these were the learnings for the lifetime for them, and why they had to face a lot of problems, lot of hurdles, lot of situations. And I have very close relatives, friends who are Capricorn Moon sign, so different ascendants, but Capricorn Moon sign, and I can vouch for them that they have gone through really tough situations, right? Let us start. So whenever a person goes through Sade Sati, we need to understand, or if we want to understand what kind of results Saturn would be giving to them, or how their Sade Sati would be, then we need to understand few things. So like 3-4 points. So even before that, I'll just briefly explain when does Sade Sati happen. So Sade Sati happens when in transit Saturn is 12 places away from your moon. Saturn is transiting over your moon, so it's in the same house as your moon is, and Saturn goes to the next house from your moon, that is the second house from the moon. So because Saturn is very close to moon, it's 12 houses apart, it's very close to the moon, it is hovering over your moon, so it's with the moon and it's in the second house from the moon. So it is very close to the moon, and Saturn and moon are bitter enemies, because moon is a very soft planet, very emotional planet. It represents nourishment, that loving exchange we receive from our mother, from motherly figures, and many other things. But it's a very soft planet, and it actually reflects our mind and our emotions, right? And when Saturn, which is a very dry planet, a very practical oriented planet, when it comes very close to the moon, or like we discussed, a person is going through Sade Sati, it is 12 places away from the moon, it is hovering over your moon, and second from your moon, it's very close to moon, and it inflicts a lot of pain on moon, right? Because both are bitter enemies, and whenever Saturn is close to the moon, it generally deprives a person from that emotional happiness. Mind is disturbed heavily due to the events that are happening during that period. So that is the primary aim of Saturn, and this has got a lot to do with our past karma, right? So whatever we did in the past is coming before us in the form of Sade Sati, and Saturn ensures that we get the chunk of karma from our past life, and it is kind of expedited during the Sade Sati phase. So whatever we are facing, it's purely due to our past karma, right? Nothing else. Now, how do we know whether Sade Sati for a person would be good or bad? Because there are many people who have gone through Sade Sati and they actually evolved. I mean, they could actually grow in their life. They have done much better in their profession. And recently I've seen one chart wherein the moon was debilitated in the 11th house, so it was a sign of Scorpio, and during the peak phase of Sade Sati, the person experienced windfall of money. So that was one of the best periods for that person. So we'll try to understand how to judge whether a Sade Sati is going to be good or bad, and that will explain why Capricorn Moon sign people had to go through very severe tough times, and especially mentally Saturn has completely broken them. They are like mentally disturbed, maybe many people have lost their hopes, they are frustrated with their life. It's like, enough is enough, but Saturn won't leave you until the last moment, right? So, first thing is, I would like to congratulate Capricorn Moon sign, because they are about to end their Sade Sati. So, on 29th of March 2025, Saturn would transit to your to the sign of Pisces, which would be third house from the moon. And the placement of Saturn, third house from the moon, is considered to be very good. So it would be a phase of complete relief and bouncing back, in your life. So, it was, I mean, you can consider that as a very, very significant achievement in your life, because Saturn has actually given you life lessons, right? So, how do we judge whether Sadesati is would be good or bad for a particular person, and why did Capricorn ascendant had to go through such tough period of time for this 7.5 years, right? So first thing is, you need to see whether Saturn is a friend of your ascendant or enemy of your ascendant, because that matters a lot, right? So based on that, during the Sadesati, you can feel either not much trouble from Saturn, or a lot of heat from Saturn. Second is where Saturn is situated in your chart, whether it is debilitated, whether it is exalted, right? And whether it is functional malefic or functional benefic for you. So that actually matters a lot, and you will get result of Sadesati based on the placement of Saturn and how Saturn is for your particular ascendant. Now, third thing is the dasha. So, which dasha you are going through. So, if you are going through a positive dasha, say for example, if someone is going through Jupiter Mahadasha, and Jupiter Mahadasha is very positive for that person, then this phase of Sadesati, even though it might be tough for that person, but the Mahadasha Lord will actually absorb a lot of heat from Saturn, and you will get minimal affliction from Saturn, or maybe moderate but not much, right? And if you are going through a bad Mahadasha, then the infliction would be maximum. And if you are going through Saturn Mahadasha, and unfortunately you come under Sadesati during the Saturn Mahadasha, then it's like like I said in my previous video, it's like double whammy. It's very tough, very, very, very tough. I can vouch for it, because I had gone through a similar kind of situation, Saturn Mahadasha and Sadesati. Very tough, right? So that is one thing. Now next, you need to see the most important thing is the placement of moon. How comfortable moon is placed in your chart. So if moon is already badly situated or is quite uncomfortable in your chart, then already moon is like kind of afflicted, or it is in conjunction with some malefic planet, and then Sadesati starts, then the affliction will be too much to bear, because moon is already situated in a very bad spot, probably in a very bad sign, or in conjunction with a malefic. It's already troubled moon. It's giving you pain mentally. It's not giving you that nourishment, that emotional happiness, that steady state of mind. And then Saturn comes. It's Sadesati, and Saturn comes. So already the moon is afflicted, and for these kind of people, it's going to be very, very tough, because Saturn will inflict pain on moon, and moon is already troubled. It's not giving you good results. And when Sadesati comes, the affliction would be too much for the person to bear, right? Now, in case of Capricorn ascendant, moon is not the best friend of Saturn. It's the bitter enemy of Saturn, we can say. And when moon is placed in the sign of Capricorn, Capricorn is a very, very dry sign, extremely dry sign, right? And when moon comes there, moon is not at all happy, because Capricorn is all about being very practical to the core. And Saturn plays a role of hard taskmaster or a very strict person. Like a person has two sides. Saturn owns the sign of Capricorn, it also owns the sign of Aquarius, right? But when Saturn is in the sign of Capricorn, it behaves completely different than when it is in the sign of Aquarius. So in sign of Aquarius, it is quite stable, cool, right? Not so practical oriented. Its focus is completely different. But when it's in Capricorn, it's about all teaching you, the life lessons. So I can think of an example because I can relate to this, and most of you can relate to this, right? So generally, fathers, our parent, father and mother, generally fathers are very strict because they want to teach their children life lessons. They want to inculcate the qualities of discipline, being organized, and most of the times fathers are like strict. And there are cases where mother becomes very strict based on the placement of moon, and then father is kind of cool, right? Because the balance has to happen. And here father is about teaching the person life lessons, being organized, discipline, and there is no scope for that happy relationship, because father is like, it's my responsibility, I need to teach this person, teach my son or my daughter life lessons, because he or she has to survive, right? And these lessons, if I don't teach them, who's going to teach them? So that is the mood of Saturn when it is in the sign of Capricorn. And when it moves to its Mool Rashi of Aquarius, it's completely relaxed. The agenda of Saturn change, the way Saturn behaves, it changes. So for Aquarius ascendant in general, so this is a general trend, Sade Sati is not so tough when you compare with Capricorn. So moon is kind of already troubled because Saturn is trying to make moon very practical, and moon is not a practical planet, right? It is emotional. It is about that nourishment we receive. It's about that loving relationship, being in a very happy state of mind, right? Luxuries and everything. But when moon comes to the sign of Capricorn, it's exactly the opposite. So in these kind of cases, I've seen generally in general, mothers, they become very tough on their children because they want to teach them the practical lessons, right? So for Capricorn moon sign, moon is already troubled because it is in the sign of Saturn, that too in the very strict sign of Saturn, which is Capricorn. So moon is, it's not at all happy. And then when Saturn comes, either 12 places away from Capricorn, or it's hovering over your moon in the sign of Capricorn, things get very, very, very tough. So what happens is, we get our chunk of past karma, that is one thing. Saturn reveals things on the ground, which I always say. So things were existing before, but you never knew of them, and you were kind of living in your own world. You don't know the practical implications of how people are, how things are. They were kind of hidden, and Saturn actually just removes that layer and shows you practically how people are or how things are around you, and then that gives you a lot of trouble, right? So I know a person, one of my very close relatives, when Capricorn moon, and when that person was going through, so this stage was set in the first phase of Sade Sati. In the second phase of Sade Sati, the person, things were revealed about the person's relationship with their siblings, with their, family members, which that person had absolutely no idea. And the person was completely broken, completely shattered. That person felt like he or she was backstabbed, right? Completely shaken, and till this point the person is still not able to come out of that situation, still bewildered, confused, that how can people have kind of split personality or double standards, like Dr. Hyde and Jekyll, right? So Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So Saturn reveals the real nature of people during this period, how people are, and then it's like very tough, because these are the people who you trust the most, who you you feel that they're actually very dear to you, they love you so much, but it's a kind of betrayal, and very tough for a person to take that. Second is, like I said, in worse situations. So this is like worst situations I'm talking about, because there are many other things we need to consider: which nakshatra Saturn is, your moon is sitting, which nakshatra Saturn is sitting in your chart. But in worst cases, person might lose, their family member whom they love so much, right? So that might also happen, and there is no support, because Saturn wants to make you very practical. Absolutely no support. So you approach people for help, and you see that you're not getting any help. You get frustrated, but that is what Saturn wants, to happen, because Saturn wants to make you independent, right? So Saturn brings in this kind of situations which are very difficult to comprehend, and Saturn knows what inflicts maximum pain, which situation gives you maximum pain, and if that is in your karma, Saturn surely will inflict that kind of pain to you. And people are devastated, people are frustrated, but that's kind of what has happened till now, right? Now, March 2025, Capricorn ascendants will be done with their Sade Sati, and they'll be entering into a fresh phase of life. You have learned your life lessons, gone through variety of experiences, different kind of experiences, which were very tough for you to handle. But from now on, it's a new beginning. You can think this as a new beginning, because things are not going to be very tough. I mean, your Mahadasha and other transits do matter, but things are not going to be so difficult. And if your Mahadasha is good, you will see a lot of positivity coming from all directions, and Saturn will now ease up its grip on you, right? So you will feel that. Probably you might be feeling from now, but generally Saturn doesn't leave until the last moment. That is what they say in astrology, right? So till the last moment you have to be careful. So you still have 3 more months to go, or probably 3 more months to go, or 2 months to go rather. So don't lower your guard, but look out for opportunities. Slowly try to understand that Sadesati was one of the difficult phases of your life, which you have gone through, and now life is going to be different, right? So the struggle would come down considerably, and like I said, if your Mahadasha and transit of planets are favorable, then you will see very, very good time ahead. And it is said that whenever Saturn gives very tough time to a person, and the person is about to end either Saturn Mahadasha or Sadesati, so what happens is, Saturn will give you opportunities, some new platform for you to take off, and then Saturn will leave. So keep your eyes open. I'm sure your Saturn would give you some new set of opportunities, right? So I know how frustrated Capricorn ascendant people are, and I can relate to this, because like I said, I have very close relatives who have gone through this. I've seen them, I've seen their pain. So it's coming to end. That's a wonderful thing, right? So you'll not have to see the situation until the next Sadesati, which would be almost like 27 or 30 years. So you have learned your lessons, and trust me, I know it's very easy to say, but Saturn has taught you many lessons, which will come, which will be of great help to you in the future to handle similar situations, or situations which are not so terrible, but you are a new person now with new set of experiences. So bring in positivity, because I know there is a lot of negativity which Saturn inflicted surely. But now, understand that this phase is over. Try to bring in positivity slowly and look out for opportunities, right? So these are my thoughts on why Capricorn ascendant guys had to go through tough phase of Sadesati. So if you like my video, you can subscribe to my channel. I'll be back with another video. Thank you so much.